I promise. You have my word on it, guys. I will make an OnlyFans if Mileena is a playable character in Mortal Kombat 11.
An amazing new design joins the Underdog store, so get yourself an amazing shirt today. Every purchase supports the channel and you look fantastic while doing it. How's it going, everyone? My name is True Underdog, and once again, Twitter is on fire because September finally came to an end and there was no big reveal for Mortal Kombat 11. And that's an issue for a lot of players because for the entire duration of September, we kept thinking there'd be some big reveal before October started. But sadly, here we are, October 3rd, and still no big news for Mortal Kombat 11 aside from the new DLC skins. And those new skins are actually what has a lot of players concerned right now because of all things, that is what Ed Boon announced on the final day of September, these new skins, which keep in mind everybody already knew about for months. So now the new big tinfoil hat theory is that all the hints that Ed Boon was posting were actually referring to these skins and not new characters. A quick shout out to Tudin on Twitter and YouTube because his videos are actually how I discovered this little rumor. To keep things short, clue number 1 says look to the skies, that could just be the moon, which hints at Johnny Cage's werewolf skin. And then for clue number 2, we have the word nightmare, which could refer to Devora's nightmare nurse costume because it does look straight out of Silent Hill. And then finally, the last clue, 6 degrees, could refer to Sub-Zero, though that one honestly is the biggest stretch to me because 6 degrees is not below 0, even in Celsius, it's still not Sub-Zero temperatures to my knowledge, so that last clue is a bit iffy, but the main fear from a lot of players right now is that since Ed Boon revealed these skins on the final day of September, and he said that great news during September makes a lot of people worried that these skins could be what all the clues were talking about and not any new characters. However, I would advise you not to freak out because I don't think these clues were talking about the new skins. Even though it is certainly possible, I'm still allowing myself to hope that these clues are pointing to some new characters, and I think we may get some news about them on October 8th. Once again, this theory is from The Toonie on YouTube and Twitter. He mentioned how originally the skins were going to be on the 8th, but they were moved to September 30th, so now that could mean the news instead is coming on October 8th instead of the skin reveal. Just a theory, but I like the idea of that, because if that's not true, we might instead be waiting till the Video Game Awards in December to get this news, and I don't want to wait that long. It's already a meme on Twitter, YouTube, and every other social media platform that Mortal Kombat 11 is dying. It needs some new stuff quickly. And while having new skins is really awesome, and I think NetherRealm's doing a great job of giving us skins and constant Combat League tournaments, that's all a bunch of fun, but I think what players want is actual new content, not just accessories. And I do think that NetherRealm knows that as well, which is why I don't believe these clues from Ed Boon were talking about the skins. I think they were in fact referring to some new characters. So with that in mind, let's talk about the news that was dropped a few days ago, and I am spelling news L-E-A-K. So if you don't want any spoilers about the new characters, then now is when you should click off the video because we're gonna break into that. So recently there was a Chad data miner by the name of The Thinny who discovered some new character names in the files from Mortal Kombat 11 after the update that actually applied the new skins. So in other words, whenever NetherRealm adds some stuff to Mortal Kombat 11, we see the skins, but they actually add a bunch of data in the background that we can't see unless we actually break into the game's code, and that is what the Thinny did. And what he discovered are new name placeholders under the character files for Mortal Kombat 11. So it says CHAR, which stands for character in the short term for the code, and then right after that it has their names. And just like with Aftermath, we got 3 new character names, and they are abbreviated just like the word character, and these new names are spelled M-I-L-R-A-N and R-A-M. So already I'm sure you're guessing who these could refer to. The first one seems super obvious and most likely means Mileena, which sounds crazy because a lot of players, myself included, had given up hope on Mileena ever being in the game. Because not only does Kitana have some of her moves and literally use her weapon, and we also see her as a friendship for Kitana, and also the community is pretty toxic, so all of these things are working against Mileena. But even so, here we are, and it says M-I-L, and it's not just her name because as the Thinny kept digging even deeper, he also found references to her gear as well. So it says that Mileena has gear. She's not just an assist, she's not just a voice or a character ending, she has gear. So if you're a Mileena fan, I think it's time to get a little bit hype. I think it's time to get a bit excited because all these things do point towards Mileena. Aside from this one funny theory that it's actually Lee May in reverse, so it's actually L-I-M and not M-I-L. That's a fun theory, but I think it most likely means Mileena. And then for the next character abbreviation, we had R-A-N, and a lot of people thought this could be Rain, and the Thinny himself confirms it most most likely is Rain because he appears later on in the code further down. So once again, the game's code is straight up saying his name, not just the abbreviation of RAN. So just like Mileena fans, if you're a Rain fan, I recommend getting pretty hype because it seems pretty likely that Rain is going to be a character in Mortal Kombat 11, not just a voice in the background. He's not going to narrate the ending, he's not going to be an assist. It looks like he's going to be a new character. And once the Thinny went even deeper into the data mine, he also found that in Sindel's audio files we have references to Rain as well, which means Rain and Sindel do have intro dialogue with each other. Now unfortunately there hasn't been any actual leaking of the audio itself, but I don't think they've been added. I think most of this is a placeholder for when they do add all of the assets. I've personally worked in game design, and a lot of the time the coders go in first and just build all the framework for the variables and the assets, which are then added later. So in other words, this coding is kind of like a bookshelf, and later on NetherRealm's going to come in with the books and fill all the shelves up, but right now it's empty. And I know that right now there are people typing that Ed Boon said there would be no repeat DLCs, but that's not actually what he said. That's a game of telephone that's happening. What Ed Boon actually said is that repeat DLCs are less likely, but he never actually said they were impossible. So just keep that in mind. And Rain is a very popular character, right up there with Mileena. So I think NetherRealm realized when they were making Kombat Pack 1, man, these characters are super popular. Let's just go ahead and add them in the game. It'll make fans happy and make us a lot of money, which given the circumstances right now of the world, I think it's good to make a little bit of extra money right now. In summary, it looks like Rain and Mileena are very likely to return in Mortal Kombat 11, but then the third name had a lot of people perplexed. RAM. What could that possibly mean? Now this reveal had a lot of mixed feelings from people, myself included, but it looks like so far the most likely character for RAM is Rambo. And that may seem like a stretch. I myself thought it was very unlikely, but keep in mind that every DLC character has been referencing the 80s so far. For example, we have RoboCop and Terminator, so it seems like all the guest characters are from 80s film franchises, and Rambo fits that perfectly. And I don't think Rambo would be a terrible character. My only gripe would be that most of the DLC characters, no, all of them use a ton of guns and weapons and grenades. That's been every DLC character so far who is a guest character. So for me personally, it's not much variety because everyone uses guns and grenades and weapons of that nature, but it also makes Rambo more likely because he fits in so well with RoboCop and Terminator. So even though I myself was pretty skeptical and didn't think Rambo was very likely and thought it made these leaks seem like they weren't true, I think Rambo fits better than I initially thought. He's an 80s film character and his weapons fit in well too. And I do know there are some players out there who like the gun characters. They like their pew-pews and their grenades and their explosions, so if I was you, I'd be really happy. Now from what I've seen on the Thinny's Twitter, we don't actually see the word Rambo ever spelled out fully like it is for Mileena or Rain, so I'm not sure if it's 100% going to be Rambo, but it seems very likely. Okay, so with all of this new information in mind, it looks like the next Kombat Pack, which is labeled as Game of the Year 2 in the data, is going to consist of Rain, Mileena, and Rambo. However, real quick, before we go any further, I have a word of warning. Part of me does worry the developers at NetherRealm knew this data would be mined, and as a result, they planned ahead and actually named the files something different to throw us off their trail, a massive red herring. Or in other words, MIL, RAN, and RAM are all just lying to us to make us think it's different characters. That way, when they do reveal the new characters, it catches everybody by surprise. I definitely think that is a possibility, and NetherRealm could be doing that, although there is some hope. As of yet, for Mortal Kombat 11, I don't think NetherRealm's ever done a trick like that, whereas they have done it in past games, but not for Mortal Kombat 11. So even though it is possible that NetherRealm has changed these names intentionally to throw us off, they haven't done that yet, so it would be kind of weird to start now, because there has been plenty of data mining in the past, and they never did any sort of clever wording or trickery of this nature. So while I do think it's possible that NetherRealm could be tricking us, I think it's equally likely that they're not. So it's a 50-50. This data could be real or it could be a trick. Once again, it's no secret that I'm a huge Mileena fan, so I'm allowing myself to hope a little bit, but I'm also skeptical that all of this could be a gigantic troll. So to basically summarize this entire video, I don't think that Ed Boon was hinting at the Hallows Eve skin pack. I do actually think he's referring to new characters that are going to be released at the latest in December at the Video Game Awards, or a bit earlier during October, possibly on the 8th. And this idea is further corroborated by the Thinny, who did a bunch of data mining and found 3 new characters, so it would be kind of like an Aftermath Part 2, with a story expansion as well in the possible future. And I do think it's okay for you to get a little bit excited, but don't overcommit to the hype, because it's also possible that NetherRealm could be tricking you with these misleading name titles. So if you learned something new and enjoyed this video, leave a like down below. It really does help the channel out a ton. Also, make sure to check out Tootin and the Thinny on Twitter. They post some really cool theories and a bunch of leaks for Mortal Kombat 11 if you want to stay up to date on that stuff and don't mind spoilers. And finally, keep that combo going going by suplexing that subscribe button. That way you never miss a future video. Make sure to come back next time, and as always, stay underdogs.